Hello. Today we are talking to the issues that were raised in an interview that Mr. Tinashe Jonasi was part of on SABC under African Perspective. Let's hear what he has to say, and this will be followed by a discussion.
Okay, well, as we've indicated, Zimbabwe's opposition has been in the news recently as factors within the MDC are at each other's throats after a high court in that country declared the MDC-T led by Thokozani Kupe as the official opposition in that country. The MDC Alliance leader Nelson Chamisa is, however, adamant that he is the legitimate leader of the opposition in Zimbabwe. So to discuss the situation in Zimbabwe, especially amongst the opposition, we will be speaking this evening to MDC-T presidential spokesperson who will be joining us a bit later on, that is Khalipani Pugeni. But we're joined this evening by Trust Ndlovu, who is MDC Alliance South African spokesperson. We also have Tinashe Jonasi, who is Ideal Zimbabwe president, and lastly Deo Mavenga, who is a human rights lawyer. Tinashe, let me start off with you as a more of a smaller party. Considering the state of the political impasse in the country, how would you describe the state of the opposition?
In simple terms, the opposition is in crisis, and it's a crisis caused by a disrespect of the Chapter 12 institutions. It's a crisis motivated by disregard of the constitution of the country. Because they also it's a crisis caused by their disregard of their own constitution, their own party constitution. So it's a matter of constitutionalism or rule of law versus populism or the rule of men.
What do you mean, Chapter 12? Can you just explain to us?
In South Africa, it's the version of your like the office of the public protector.
Okay. So almost like what we refer to in South Africa as Chapter 9 institutions. So you are saying that there's a disregard for those institutions who are there to promote constitutionalism. What evidence can you point to support that argument?
Okay. When Mr. Nelson Chamisa took over power, I will start on the main. I mean, on Ubuntu or Ubuntu, what you call in South Africa. The body of their icon, the late icon Morgan Tsvangirai, was still very cold in a South African mortuary, and they had a comfortable 3 vice presidents. So surely they could have discussed about the burial of their late president. But Mr. Chamisa saw it fit to grab power when his late president was still in a South African mortuary. That is not African. That is an African. Secondly, the executive council, which was assembled by Mr. Nelson Chamisa, was not legally constituted. He basically grabbed the power unconstitutionally, and the High Court had a ruling before they hosted their so-called Congress, and he lost the ruling. Then he decided to appeal just to shortcut to have a fake Congress.
Yep.
So Mr. Chamisa took over power illegally, and then there was a constitutional court ruling, which is the highest court of the country, and still he disregarded the ruling, and because he said, I'm very popular, so I would still people would still follow me. And then he went on with the MDC alliance. And now he has lost the offices. He has lost the name of the alliance again. Now he sent, probably 2 days ago, he sent his youth to take over the headquarters.
And we'll get to that, Tinashe. But in conclusion, would you say that the crisis that the opposition is currently facing in Zimbabwe, at the core of that crisis is Nelson Chamisa?
100%.
Okay, let's get the Trust Ndlovu to respond to that. Trust, good evening and welcome to African Perspective. What's your response to what Tinashe has to say?
Good evening. Well, the crisis in Zimbabwe is a political crisis, is a legitimate crisis. And in response to that, when ED was walloped at the elections, when ED lost elections, of course, he got into power through the court processes, of which we had to respect. But we know the truth of the matter, that ED was not happy when he lost those elections. And in response, he had to use the courts. And in using those courts, he has to use the courts to weaken the Nelson Chamisa, the president of the MDC alliance. He had to weaken it by making sure that Chamisa loses everything in courts. And we had been waiting to see if at all the MDC alliance will be given justice, but unfortunately, because there is a political crisis in the country, there was no way that we were going to get that justice. Then we also...
Trust, is it not true, though, that the divisions within the party came even before Emmerson Mnangagwa was elected president of the country? The fallout between Thokozani Kupe as well as Nelson Chamisa came before the 2018 elections.
That is true then, but I was about to explain that. You see, what happens is that when the former president of the MDC died or passed on, there was already a national council which was about to discuss the national issues. And which, of course, by that time, we were preparing for the national elections. And the National Council had all the powers to decide who had to lead them at that moment. So the National Council could not leave a leadership vacuum. And Madam Kumbe, by then she was not around. You would remember that for about 8 months, Madam Kupe was not attending meetings which were being called by the former president, Morgan Tsvangirai. Therefore, the party had to make a decision. It was a very difficult moment, and they decided that they had to ask Nelson Chamisa to lead
That's not how I understand it to be, Trust. That's not how I understand it to be. I understand it to be that Morgan Tsvangirai is the one who, for lack of a better phrasing, anointed Nelson Chamisa to be his successor, although it was against the constitution of the party.
Look, those are other issues that one, of course, the president had also wished to see Nelson Chamisa taking over. But also there were due processes which had to be followed. Yeah. In our understanding by then, of course, even now, the National Council, there's the power in between congresses to make such decisions. But in any case, like I said before, that after the elections, you would find that they realized that no, the MDC as an opposition had become too powerful.
Okay.
And then they had to use the courts to weaken. Let me just finish my point. Mm. They have to use the courts to weaken the opposition because the MDC was becoming too powerful, and it was only Chamisa who was making a point that the MDC had won elections.
Okay.
And of course, now that things are in the situation like where we are right now, we've decided to say, okay, for the sake of peace, for the sake of unity, let's come together.
Okay.
Let's go according to the court's ruling to say 2014 structures. Let those 2014 structures come together and try to address the question pronounced by the Supreme Court judgment.
Okay.
And that's where we are now.
Okay, Kalipani, let's hear your take on what has been said now by Trust. And also, though, can we also argue that Thokozani Kupe may have opened herself to allow the opposition to be destabilized in that country?
Good evening to you and to the listeners at home. And of course, I want to say good evening to Tinashe and Jonasi. Indeed, it's an honor to be with you again this evening. I need to clarify certain points which were raised by Trust, which are misleading. First of all, the constitution of our party leading up to the 2014 Congress, it allowed for all standing committee members to be elected at Congress. For you to understand this, standing committee will be like the top 6 in South Africa of the ANC. When we got into that Congress, because our previous 2 SGs, Professor Ncube and Tendai Biti, they had made certain moves to the effect that they wanted to grab power unconstitutional. We then resolved at that Congress, 2014 Congress, that all the powers will now go to the president's office. So the calling of the national executive goes to the president's office. The calling of the National Council goes to the president's office. We went further to say the president will assume the power to appoint all deputies of the standing committee, except, and this is important, except in the case of vice president and vice chairperson. Why were those 2 exempt? They were exempt because they are in the presidium. And in our constitution, any one of those 4 people in the form of the president, the chairperson, the president, the vice president, the chairperson, and the deputy chairperson, any one of those people in our constitution can become the president in the event that the one which they deputize or is on top of them in terms of hierarchy dies or for some reason is unable to carry out their duties. So we made clear, we dealt with the succession issue, that is how it's going to be as far as the MDC constitution is concerned.
Yeah.
There was no contestation until 2016. Why did things change in 2016? It's because the then President, Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, fell ill with a terminal illness. And those that wanted to grab power violently and illegal and tribal saw an opportunity. And then they connive and try to bastardize the institution of the MDCT to the effect that then they said there are 2 vice presidents that the president had to appoint. Now, the irony of it is that the resolutions were clear in saying when it comes to vice president and deputy chairperson, you can't appoint, you will appoint all the deputies of the standing committee. So they push that narrative through violence, through misinformation, and many other means. And then, unfortunate, as you would know, Dr. Tsvangirai passed in 2018. It's now a matter of historical record that Dr. Kupe was almost bent in a heart in Buera at that funeral. The Americans were there, the British were there, the who's who of the political world was there. So this is a matter of historical record. Why did they want to burn her in a heart together with our SG Monzora, our TG Chief Ndlovu?
Who wanted to burn her in the house?
It was supporters of Nelson. It was supporters of Nelson Chamisa. They said to her, she is Ndebele, and that disqualifies her from ruling Zimbabwe. She must go back to Matebeleland. They actually called her dissident, and they said they will do to her what was done to the dissidents during the Kukraundi era. Yep. So they attempted to burn that hut where she had taken refuge. And by God's grace, it was raining, so the grass could not catch the fire. That's how she survived today. That's how you still have this former deputy prime minister of this country. She was basically left helpless there. And as Providence will have it, she survived because of that.
Okay.
Now,
Kalipad, unfortunately, we just have to, let's just quickly go to an ad break. We're going to come to an ad break, and then we're going to ask you about the role of Thokozani Kupe right now and whether she has opened herself to being influenced by ZANU-PF, and then we'll get Udewa Owers to comment on this as well and what this means for the issue around human rights. So that conversation will be happening just after this. We're having a debate, a conversation looking at the state of the opposition in Zimbabwe and is
I'm just waiting for Mr. Tinashe Jonasi, who was a panelist on this interview, to maybe dig deeper to get to know the background and what he believes is the issue in Zimbabwe. Hello?
Mr. Mawere, I'm sorry. Can you send another link? Because it's just uploading this link.
All right, but we can talk. Let me send you the link, and then let's see if it doesn't. Then we can do it on WhatsApp.
No problem.
All right, so I've sent you there. So Mr. Jonasi is going to come and join us, and then we can then deal with what he is talking about. I would love to be part of the discussion. May I have the link? And that's Signoro. And Signoro says Kupe Maridadi, Monzora, and others have always been members of the MDC for the wrong reasons. Assume that Signoro knows what the right reasons are. They have been attacking, destroying from within. Watengesi Wakuru, that's a judgment made by facts known to Signoro. And here we are talking to the issue of the state of play in the opposition as articulated by different panelists on SABC. And the idea was to generalize the conversation. What is the opposition? What is happening? And why is it happening? And you may discover that what you think is not the reality of the events that are unfolding. What I think may have nothing to do with the reality on the ground. But as usual, superstition, gossip, speculation informs many of the discourses that take place in any grouping of human beings. After all, we are human beings, limited by our past in terms of facts, yet it is very possible that human beings like me often interpose ourselves in facts that go beyond our personal knowledge. The facts of 2018, the facts of 2020 are different. Hello?
Loading.
So we can go ahead. I just wanted to confirm that you had that conversation on African perspective that was focusing on the state of play in relation to the opposition parties in Zimbabwe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And what was, I've listened to the portion of that interview. Maybe to summarize, what were your key take-home points?
My take-home points is, especially the issue affecting MDC currently. People, they pick their favorite candidate or leader, and anything then which is alleged by any other stakeholder or non-stakeholder, they would defend their favorite candidate or leader without themselves also sitting down and applying their own conscience or research about what is being said. For example, Nelson Chamisa grabbed power, and whether you like Chamisa or you don't, you are his enemy, you are his friend, you are his blood brother or twin brother or his wife. There's no denial that the takeover was wrong. But all the people who are MDC Alliance members or supporters, they feel it's President ED or ZANU-PF. It's the work of ZANU-PF. When Chamisa took over power, no one said it's ZANU-PF which helped him to take over power. But it's only that when a judgment, and people are forgetting that Chamisa had a bigger chance of being declared a president. No matter he had taken power, but the president ED subjected himself to competition against Chamisa. So if ZANU-PF were scared of Chamisa, they could have made the judgment and disqualified him from even the election race. So the people, we use our emotions, we use our attitude towards a certain individual, and then we reject conscience, we reject fact.
So are you saying that any product of unlawful transfer of power is bad across the board?
Very much. Because
so what is your comment on the allegation that even President Mnangagwa ascended to the party position outside the four corners of the constitution of ZANU-PF?
Okay. I'll take it in two ways. Number one, I will take it, I'll agree with it, and number two, I will disagree with it.
Okay.
Number one, if I agree with it that President ED took power unconstitutionally in terms of maybe the ZANU-PF constitution, now the law always tends to favor those in power, those who can make it. So if you violate the constitution of your party and then you go on to win, to become the national president, surely the whole system would be behind you. You will be controlling the system. Because there's no denial that when someone is a minister, when someone is a president, they've got a lot of influence and authority. So political power is about which office are you in. So if President ED indeed violated the ZANU-PF constitution, I think now is the president of ZANU-PF, is the president of the country.
No. Are you saying that it's bad president, or you are justifying it?
If indeed he violated the ZANU-PF constitution, it's bad.
No. Why do you say if when you are so clear on the issue of Chamisa?
Okay.
Why can't you be the same similar position?
Okay, thank you. When I comment that Chamisa took over power illegally, I'm not commenting because I'm an expert at law. I'm commenting because the issue of Chamisa went to High Court, then he lost it, then he took it to Supreme Court and he lost it. So
but let's say you murder somebody, as a matter of fact, whether you go to court or not, is it murder or not?
Okay, a good question. When someone has murdered someone and he has not appeared before the court, he officially is called as a murder suspect.
Yeah. So if the facts of the matter show that a consent was not required, you see a woman you like it, and you have unauthorized sex.
Okay.
What is that?
Thank you. The question is, if we want to respect the law, the same law we want to respect in Zimbabwe is saying everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But if we say everyone is guilty until proven innocent, I think that would be unlawful. So, I mean, on the left, there's Chamisa, who has been proven by the High Court and the Supreme Court. As we speak...
But there were no costs imposed on him, so the court accepted that this matter was a bit more complex because there was a confusion in the party as to the power of the National Council and the power of the Constitution and the interpretation of the Constitution, because there are people, including in ZANU-PF, who believe that in between Congresses, actually, you can change even the president and the vice president, that there's nothing that limits the National Council from taking decisions of the nature that were taken in relation to Chamisa.
Okay, thank you. I've learned one thing from you, Mr. Mawere. What have I learned? What have I learned? You have taught me the difference between opinion and facts.
That's right.
You have taught. So I'm now taking life as a lesson, as a big classroom. So you taught me that young men don't speak on behalf of ZANU-PF, don't speak on behalf of Zimbabweans, speak on behalf of yourself.
That's right.
And speak on, facts, separate facts and opinion. When it's opinion, say clearly, I think, or I suspect, or I'm not sure, so that people know that you are about to raise an opinion. But don't package an opinion as a fact. So that lesson, I found it from you. So if you allow me to be a good student, let me say this. Between Chamisa and ED, personally, they are different. Remember, I'm not a constitutional expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just an ordinary person. Now, what is the difference between Chamisa and ED in terms of their ascendance to power? The difference is that I can state clearly with authority that Chamisa, his ascendant was unconstitutional. And when someone asks me why, I would then cite the High Court ruling, I would cite the Supreme Court ruling. Now, when I go to ED, I can, even now, I've got the freedom to express myself and say ED ascended to power unconstitutionally. When someone now asks me evidence, I would then start stammering, because who is mandated in our country to interpret the Constitution and to interpret the law? That person is either called a magistrate, a judge, or a Supreme Court judge. Those three people are mandated by our Constitution to interpret an event in reference to the Constitution. And then they are officially allowed to comment that this thing is unconstitutional, is unlawful, and when they do that, it is done, and they can pass a judgment. Now, ED has never been brought to any court in Zimbabwe so far. Meaning, if they are experts now of law who are better than me, because a lawyer and a magistrate or any officer of court is someone who is above me in terms of interpreting the law.
Okay, that's good.
If ED indeed violated the ZANU-PF Constitution, he remains a suspect at law until I don't know any other circumstances that can make him appear before a magistrate or the High Court or the Supreme Court. After the judgment, I can declare with pride that ED, well, remember, if I can say now ED went to is illegitimate right now. If there's someone on this platform who is a lawyer or who is a constitutional expert that person might argue with me on technical, on law technicalities, and I might lose the argument. Maybe I was right, but because I'm not an expert at law, I might even lose a legal debate. So I'm thinking E.D. Chamisa remained, he was a suspect until he was given an opportunity to appear before the court, the High Court.
So your test is on the separation of powers. That
yes,
that the executive, judiciary, and legislature are separate branches of a government, and as such,
yes,
until the court is pronounced on a dispute, everybody must be presumed to be innocent. But now you, as a political actor, looking at the facts, before you even go to court, and look at the facts, look at the circumstances, look at the ascendancy to the party position, look at the constitution, independent, you're outside the four corners of court. Are you satisfied that the ascendancy by President Mnangagwa to the position of president of ZANU-PF was in accordance with the constitution of ZANU-PF? Yourself, just looking at the facts.
Are you saying I'll be looking at the facts, or you say I'm looking at the opinions?
No, the facts of the matter are that there was a sitting president, and there was a Congress that was scheduled, and then the vice president then was fired, dismissed by the president, which he challenged and went to court, and the court ruled in his favor. That ascendance.
Sorry, the court ruled in whose favor? The sitting president or the fired vice president?
The fired vice president.
Or the court ruled in his favor that his firing was unconstitutional.
Was unlawful.
Or his firing was unlawful.
Yeah, except that Mugabe was not a respondent in the application. So that application was not opposed. Because there was a lacuna. Remember, when the then vice president left the country, Mpoko was also not able to act.
Okay. I hear you now.
Yeah. So those are the facts.
Well, I want to ask you one thing here. If a matter is before the court, and then it's not opposed, is it automatically that the case will be lost, or the judge?
It's not automatic, because the judge still has to apply to the facts of the matter. But in any event, in terms of the rules and even the constitution, you have to allow the other party to respond to the allegations made. But to make a judgment based on one side of the coin in itself is inimical to the rule of law.
What made the state not to oppose the case?
Because the president of the time was not cited as a party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is where the problem is.
Do you think it was a good strategy on the part of EG to win the case?
I don't know what may have visited him, because remember, he was fired. So for him to be eligible to become a president of ZANU-PF, he had to overcome that.
I get you. I get you.
And to take this matter outside the four corners of the court, of the party, was to approach the court so that the matter becomes sub judice. So the party members would then would then have no jurisdiction.
Okay.
Because one would have had to deal with the party issue. That does the president have the powers to fire his deputy, although he may have an ambitious wife? Whether that ambitious wife does waive the rights vested in the president.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting you, Mr. Okay, let me apply my own opinion.
Yeah.
To what you have presented to me.
Yeah. So that is the issue. When people see you criticizing Chamisa, then they are entitled to say you are also part of a project.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. So let me respond to the issue of why I criticize Chamisa in terms of law, and then I'm quiet on ED.
Yeah, in terms of facts, because there is no, I think you have stated the facts that when Changirai died, even before he died, the contestation was already alive and well, and that there was no unity of purpose in the MDC. There were divisions, and there are people who say Kupe was fired under Changirai's watch, or elected to fire herself by absenting from herself from meetings that were properly called.
Okay.
So that is the factual side. What are the facts? It doesn't stop you from making a comment on matters that even fall outside the court's jurisdiction, because that is the nature of politics. That's your weapon. And if you are going to rise above anyone else and say Tinashe Jonasi is the person to take Zimbabwe where people want it to be taken, then they want you to pronounce your opinion on facts and not to hide behind court determinations, because that may then mean you support the judiciary as it stands, and yet the same judiciary is comprised of men and women who are mortal and defective like all of us. And we have their personal views on matters, and they can import their views into judgments. And the question is, why you have so much faith in a broken system?
Okay. That question to me is revolutionary. The question is, why must we have faith in a broken system? That question to me, if we try to answer that question, I think it means we are exactly in reality building the nation.
That's right. So that's what they're saying. Let Mr. Jonasi rise above his personal feelings about this or that. But if the system is broken, then the law of the jungle takes over on both sides.
Okay.
And why should the application of the law of the jungle?
Okay. I hope you are going to give me an opportunity.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Especially when there's a beautiful question like, why must we believe in a broken system?
Yeah, that is we can do that as part 2, but because it's an ambush, and we were going to take over from your interview on SABC, where you made eloquent points on the subject matter that was there, because the topic was dealing with the opposition, not ZANU-PF.
All right. From a moral ground, I'm now commenting on ED's ascendance to power.
Okay.
On moral grounds, as a matter of fact, no one in Zimbabwe has ever insulted ED more than me.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Hello? 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 Yeah, sorry, we got cut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yes. I think it's network.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. So I am saying, no any person in Zimbabwe has ever insulted the president more than me.
Okay.
But I reached a point of saying, if I continue insulting the president, and I've got maybe a few ideas that I think can maybe help the country, and the person who is controlling the levers of power right now is ED. Whether ED is legitimate or illegitimate, but the fact of the matter is he is controlling the levers of power. And ED is a big machinery right now, is a big political machinery, whether you call it legal or religious. He has got the power to ban a church today. Now, must I work in fantasy? Can I build my country in fantasy, or I build my country in reality? Then I realized that nation building requires to deal with reality. If Zimbabweans, we hold hands in demonizing ED, in insulting ED, we are going to end up with a rogue president, a president who doesn't care, a president who would become a dangerous target. Because that president, he commands the army, commands the CIO, commands the police and the prisons. So now, even the Attorney General is answerable to the president. Chief Justice can be summoned to the office of the president. That is a fact. ED has got a privilege to abuse even his powers. He can do that. So if someone is in such a position, and that person is a Zimbabwean, why can't we love ED? So much that I can even call ED and say, hi ED, how are you? Can I see you tomorrow? And then ED say, no, tomorrow I'm busy. Tomorrow Friday. Can we meet Saturday?
But do you know the... Okay.
Wait. I'm expressing my personal opinion.
All right, no, let's go ahead.
On ED.
All right.
And then, why can't I go to ED's office in privacy and sit down with the ED and say, my brother, if I did this to you, I've insulted you so many times and you have never answered back. I should apologize, and I apologize publicly on that. ED has never insulted me back. No matter I have said a lot of facts and opinions and whatever, but ED has never defended himself. He has never insulted me back. So I should also take that away and apologize to him. And secondly, if I think ED went ascended to power wrongly, and then it's a bad example, and then if I think ED is a dictator, or ED is abusing his office, why can't I talk to him in privacy? In privacy, he can, who knows? What if he can also cry? What if in privacy he can also confess to other mistakes? And what if in privacy ED can agree to improve in certain areas of his administration, or his personality, or his governance, or his party? If I can point out 10 fatal mistakes ED is making, and then he chooses to improve on 2, that's 20% which came from Tinashe. And John from GNC would also point out, I mean, We need to build a nation. Chamisa, I don't have a problem with Chamisa. 3rd October, I had invited Chamisa to come to dinner. And ED had agreed.
Yeah, okay.
But Chamisa is very arrogant. When you invite him to come to such, you won't say yes or no. You will be called and you can just know that he's not coming. Why? Chamisa wanted to be invited by Ramaphosa or Thabo Mbeki or any other sitting president in Africa or in the world. Chamisa looks at your status. He doesn't look that I'm a citizen of Zimbabwe. So if ED who is running the country now can respond to my invitation and accept my invitation, and Chamisa can decline it, as a citizen of Zimbabwe, who would I think wants a better Zimbabwe than the other?
Yeah, I think you have raised a number of issues that require interrogation and introspection. You say a public office bearer must be loved, not be subjected to public scrutiny. That's one take-home point. You say this a public office bearer is bigger than life. And then if we pack that and say, okay, this is your perspective, nobody can take that away from you. But in the proper construction of government, should a president be above the law or below the law?
The president must be below the law. But what I'm saying is, you know, Mr. Mawere, right now I'm engaging with you in a discussion. We might be completely going different routes in this discussion. I might believe in left, while you are believing in right. Your position is right. Those are extreme opposite. But surely there's no need of me insulting you.
No, I'm saying is the job of a president is to be below the law. I think I remember even people insulting.
We agree. The president must not be above the law.
Yeah. So if you are pissed off as a citizen, do you have the right to rebel on ideas and say my president is wrong, and the way you were born is illegitimate, and be able? Yeah.
You are allowed to the public are the employers of the president. So they are the ones who are mandated by the constitution to evaluate his performance.
So do you have to love a beneficiary of your power? Or do you have to be skeptical, cynical, even abusive of that power to make a point that actually the power the president has is not his, because this is borrowed power. This is not his power. It's public power. It's public funds.
That's correct.
But you can't use the public funds now to silence somebody.
Okay. Mr. Mawere, you are totally correct when you say the president, number one, we agree that is not above the law. Number two, we agree that the president has got borrowed powers that have got an expiry date. But now, what we don't agree is, I am saying the president must not even abuse his powers at office. The same way the public, when the public mandate the president, remember when
but you don't mandate, he's your representative, he's not your president.
No.
He's a public office bearer, he works for you, he's an employee.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Mawere, when you hire a driver,
yeah,
that driver, you give him full authority to drive you.
Then it's no longer a republic, because the
no, maybe. No one can drive your car without you granting that person.
Yeah, but it's just to drive on behalf of the people, not to drive on your own personal behalf.
Okay. The political system where works as it's a system. It means there's a part the president must play and the public must play.
But he is a public. Do we agree that he is a public? He is an agent, not a principal. So if he's an agent and you are the principal, you believe there's corruption. You believe that the manner in which he assumed the position of the party and state offend the principles of constitutionalism. Why would you now be selective and say Chamisa is the only one?
Okay, all right. Let me answer it again for the second time. This one I'm saying the president must not abuse his office.
Yeah.
The public must not also abuse their power and then ridicule or insult or shame the president. The public has got authority to remove him when they think he's not listening. They should not put him in the office. While he's in office, they just insult him and bash him and no. They need to help him to be a better leader. If they are fed up, surely they can vote him out or remove him from office.
No. I'm saying is when you look at public power, maybe we need to look at it. Look at the Constitution. What are the obligations of a president, and what are the do's and don'ts? And then perhaps we can get there to say, who do we hold to account? The one who has got jurisdiction or locus to be able to interrogate a president of a private club or a president of the nation. And what standards do we use? Is it any of my business whether a man sleeps with a man in their bedroom? Or that's a matter that is prescribed to the people in the bedroom? Do I have a right to weigh in on the affairs of the party, or what do I do?
Okay. So I'm saying morally, ED is the commander of the army of Zimbabwe.
That's
the commander. He can order someone to be arrested.
No. We are saying that he can't order. He has no power to order anyone to be arrested. You know that?
No. I am saying ED is in a position if he wants to abuse his power. He is
not even in that position because he can't. His powers are prescribed. There are people who are charged with the responsibility of administering the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act.
No. I'm giving a point that...
okay. You are saying that you can have a mischievous president.
Yes.
Who can operate outside the four corners of legality.
Yes, because his position has got facilities that can enable him to abuse his office.
No, it doesn't have. But maybe we can educate each other.
No. I am saying a president is a very influential and powerful position.
No, that's not what the Constitution says. If you believe in the rule of law, not rule of men.
No. Okay. I am saying, what I'm saying is that that's why many people talk about ED. Why are people talking about?
Because of ignorance. That's what we want to be able to say, that the president does not have the powers that we confer on him.
Thank you so much for putting it on record. So now that means the issue that ED might not be fighting corruption, might not be doing this and that. It's neither here or there.
No, it is there because he is a public office bearer. He cannot go outside the perimeter or circumference that the people give him. Even to say you are an enemy, to say you are an economic saboteur, that's outside his perimeter.
Okay, all right.
He doesn't have the power.
Okay, all right.
Yeah?
I get it. I get you.
Yeah. So he is not in that position. He doesn't have that power. So anyone who wants to be president must know that. That in as much as you say Chamisa had no power to take the baton,
yes,
it must apply to everybody.
No, with ED, I'm not defending that he took power in ZANU-PF legally or illegally. I am saying for it to be effect, now if people are alleging that he did that, it means he is a suspect. He is innocent of that until proven guilty.
No, you are a political player. He's your competitor. Why, yeah, but why not use anything?
Okay, thank you. I don't know.
Why are you using your weapon only on Chamisa?
Okay, thank you for that. Chamisa is proven guilty of taking power unconstitutionally. ED has not yet proven guilty.
No, that Chamisa was not proved guilty.
The Supreme Court judging removed him from his office.
No, it says he never took the position that his interpretation of the Constitution was wrong, was defective.
Then he was then corrected through the judgment.
No, they said no power exchanged hands. Period. And yes, in as much as no power exchanged hands between Mugabe and President Mnangagwa.
Okay. Then that means the Supreme Court ruling, it didn't recognize the office of Chamisa.
No, it just said there is no power that transferred hands, period. And and also, if the same goes for Chamisa, the same goes for President Mnangagwa.
But now, what I know is that every case is taken on merit. When a case is brought before court, two suspects can rape one woman. But surely, when there's a trial and then there's judgment.
No, they don't look at the facts of the matter, because the judge only looks at the facts before him. The fact that I have not reported doesn't change the facts.
But then the public opinion is not a final judgment.
No, I'm saying is you as a public figure, you want to have public office. Are you going to be blindsided when you become president of Zimbabwe?
I would treat facts as separate from opinion.
No, you have a chance to say we are putting Zimbabwe in disrepute, because the moment I break virginity without consent or I have sex without consent, it's rape. Doesn't have to go to court.
No.
If there's no consent, there's no consent. Mugabe has spoken.
Mr. Mawere, I think we are differing in a matter of principle. If I'm a president of Zimbabwe today and someone raped someone and broke the virginity and everything, and there's witnesses and there's a video to prove that, the person becomes legally a suspect.
No, why are you hiding behind legality when you're a political player? Because you have a right to make judgments.
Okay. That means if I become a president, I will judge every activity with my opinions and freeze the judicial system and freeze the courts.
That's why you are a political player. You must be able to say this is wrong, not in my name, because I am the republic.
Okay, Mr. Mawere, what I'm saying is, right now, someone can tell me Mr. Mawere killed his child, and then maybe give me some story behind that. I can't pronounce on TV that Mr. Mawere must be locked up because he killed his child. What if it's proven that Mr. Mawere, out of all your children, no one has ever disappeared or passed?
No, you don't have to disappear. Consent is the test. The Constitution recognizes consent. That's liberty. That's the rule of law.
Okay.
And if I don't have your consent, I can't take over that office. I feel naked. I can't say, yes, I've had sex with a person who didn't give consent.
Okay. In the absence of consent.
There is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional.
Okay, Mr. Mawere, in the absence of consent, the man becomes the suspect.
No, UDI, they declared independence without the consent. And that's why it was illegal. It didn't have to go to court. There's no court that determined that UDI was a bad project.
Okay, Mr. Mawere, do you agree that when a person is alleged to be raped?
No, when morality is offended, if imagine I go to a woman and I have sex, then after that I say, yeah, it was great. And she didn't consent to it. Whether she's poor or you are rich or you are powerful, doesn't matter. Consent is consent.
But you become a rape suspect.
No, you don't become a rape. You become a rapist by conduct. Why don't you get the consent? Why didn't you go to the Congress? If you are popular, why didn't you go to the Congress, Asante Sane?
Oh, Mr. Mawere, so are you saying if someone raped a woman and then broke virginity and there's evidence, there are witnesses, are you saying that person must not appear in court?
Yeah. So
if that person appears in court, to you, if that person is appearing in court as a rapist or as a rape suspect?
No, I mean the court of public opinion is great because you are the public.
Okay, Mr. Mawere, me and you are leaders. You are a leader, Mr. Mawere. In business, in a community, I'm humbled by your initiative of building community and whatsoever. You are not doing that out of hobby, out of not having the things to do. Leadership, it's in you. So you are a leader, Mr. Mawere. Me and you must be seen to sanitize the whole mess in our country.
No, I'm saying is you are giving an opportunity for people to debate issues and to go through the issues so that we all have the same understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, other people may benefit, and that's why I wish I know you are, as a presidential candidate, you are also mindful of your time, and I've taken your time. We started late, but you may. This was the conversation, and it's one of many conversations.
Yes.
And when we are talking, it's not targeted at you. No. You are entitled to your own views. I'm not here to change your views on anything. But when we have conversations, they also require us that we probe and we share them.
Yes.
So when we share, then it helps all of us.
That's true.
Yeah, to come to the basics of what the issues are. It's only then when we will all become enlightened and then be able to take views and to look at all sides of a story, so that my view need not be the only view, and that temperament. When I talk of Chamisa, I am also reminded that I could also be Chamisa to other people.
Yes.
And I take the view that my worldview is the only view that must prevail. And I then take the view that the people I dislike are wrong and the people I like are the best. So when we look at that, we then find we are in a dilemma. and that there is no way we can come to an agreement on anything. And when we can't come to an agreement on anything, then we end up with a problem. So I think you have been very generous with your time, and I think it is good. It's good that we take a step back and congratulate people like you for taking that viewpoint. Just to share ideas. There's no one who is right or wrong, but there's somebody in Australia who wanted to join you. I don't know whether you would allow him to join us.
What's the name of the person?
That's your brother, Mkoma Masimba. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think you are rounding off. You are rounding up the discussion. It means we are now concluding.
Okay, so let's conclude. Give Tinashe insights, depth matters, always no layman stock on paramount national issues. Stop street talk. Repandari, don't dilute constitutionalism. When you support, whether you support ED or not, do you support ED? And somebody says he's got executive power. Somebody says great conversation. Let's make America great again. Or let's sanitize a politician to be great.
Any conversation between the citizens of Zimbabwe or among citizens of Zimbabwe that is not emotionally charged, and to me, it's a great success. Because Mr. Mawere, if I was the best in Zimbabwe in terms of wisdom and everything, purely I was going to be alone in the whole country, and I was going to turn Zimbabwe as an island. But why are we over 15 million? Because we are each other's keeper. Another Zimbabwean is maybe a nurse that is Zimbabwean will treat me. Another Zimbabwean is a barber in the, you to cut my hair. There's an interdependence. So no one is the best in Zimbabwe. No one is less Zimbabwe. So I think we need to converse. People, Zimbabweans are now becoming wiser in every aspect of life because social media like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, people are converting. And we don't need to agree, but we need to agree that let's discuss and engage without using emotion.
So if you look at this conversation of today, was it a waste of your time or something that you think ought to be shared? And
remember, even within the conversation, remember even what I said on SABC, I told you that it's some of the lessons I got from previous interactions with you. I'm not shy or have a pride. If I'm going to be a better Zimbabwean tomorrow, it's people like Mr. Mawere and other Zimbabweans who would advise me. I might do wrong things, thinking I'm correct, but in Zulu they say umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, munu nabantu. Saka I might reflect a persona who was created from my family or from my background. But surely Zimbabweans in diversity, they've got a lot of advice and knowledge to make me a better citizen, and not only better, but progressive and constructive. In the objective of of nation building.
All right. So would you be prepared to have some of these conversations are recorded in the spirit of building the Zimbabwe that you want to see?
I don't have a problem, because remember, anything to do with the Zimbabwe, I'm a Zimbabwean. So whether I'm recorded in error or during my strength, any situation, Zimbabwe, we should all make mistakes, but we should do everything in good faith. I am a Zimbabwean who is proud of the country, regardless of what Zimbabwe is going through. Regardless, some people can say there's a broken system. Me, I believe we still, it's our duty to mend that broken system until it's working.
Okay, then finally, you are being broadcast also on Mukoma Masimba's platform's Facebook page. And I'm raising this issue because he's writing a book, Rebenzi. Have you heard of that book? I know you've spoken to Mukoma Masimba.
I'm not aware of the book.
Yeah, you are now part of his book. And this is
in what sense?
In the sense that your views on the issues that you have expressed today, they are also being broadcast to people who follow you. And
to me, it's an honor if any Zimbabwean can use my opinions, which are strong or which are weak. As I say, we are each other's keeper.
Yeah, so I was just letting you know that he wanted to have a conversation with you, so that because he has also taught me one thing, that some of the conversations I have and the language that I use may not be understood by the people that call themselves better Zimbabweans or Zimbabweans in general. So I end up talking to myself, believing that what I know and what I'm saying.
Okay, Mukoma Masimba must reschedule. I don't have a problem, because I've got I must leave Pretoria for I must leave Pretoria for Johannesburg right now, and I'm 20 minutes behind.
Okay.
So when I engage with him, I want to concentrate and focus on my conversation with him, because he is trying to build the country from his own space. So I respect him, and I whenever I engage with him, I would want to give him my full attention.
No, thank you very much. I think on that call, thank you for your time. I will let him know if he's not listening, so that we can have order and structure, so that our conversations are planned, because what you are doing, it doesn't mean the world is doing what you are doing. Other people have schedules, they need time, they need to know what is going to be discussed. They need to be better prepared, so that we don't end up in each other's spaces, in each other's lanes, and then we end up with confused brands. Each one of us wants to look good, to be themselves. So if there's anything out there, let us build communities, so that people like Mr. Jonasi can come to talk to us in a structured, civilized manner, and then we all can conclude, like Marx is saying, interesting conversation indeed, because nobody goes out feeling they've been ambushed, abused in an interview. Thank you very much.
I honor you.
Thank you.
And if Mr. Masimba is listening or not, you should tell him I love him, I support him, and if he schedule any engagement, I'm available.
No, thank you.